Isn't it funny when people get together how they kind of adopt each other's personalities over time, and even if it's like a short time?
Yeah.
Because I noticed Michelle say something that was very like kind of Devin. I would think Devin would say, but maybe it's just Michelle, and I'll talk about it later because it's probably my line of the night because it's just so abstract and not what you'd think she'd say. It's not. But I'll still bring it up.
I don't even know what she said.
I know. I can't think of anything either.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was watching a live and Devin and Michelle were on it and she was talking about cooking. She goes, "You hate to see it." I was like, I know what's going on here because
they just match very well.
Either way, it's a whole vibe and I'm for it.
I like it. I like it a lot. The couples this season are good. Like even Nia doing her thing. It's just I'm here for it. I'm here for the hookups.
Brad and Emily.
Yes, 100%.
Not on my bingo card, but I love it.
Fire emoji, fire emoji.
So I have these like little daydream that Emily is going to drive her van to Michigan and she's going to park it on Brad's property.
Yeah.
And they're going to start a wellness retreat. And there's going to be yoga and breath work and meditation and crystals and incense. I don't know, but I want it to happen.
So we're rewatching the episode and Emily goes, "It's just something about a beard and biceps." And I was like, you better hope we don't ever interview her.
Better start growing it long. Yeah. Get some length on there.
We don't have enough hair ties in this house.
No, you're right.
Okay, let's get this going because we may have someone join us a little bit late, and I want to get us to at least close to a certain part before that person gets here. So, hey everyone, my name's Rick. This is my beautiful wife, Corrina. We've got Josh motherfucking Chambers. We got Alexis Tex Rawson, and of course, Katie Bad Blood Perhura. Sells seashells by the seashore. Anyways, this is a Challenge Fandom Podcast. We're about to break down episode 4 of the Challenge 40 Battle of the Eras, and this one's called My Trivia Era, also known as I am, what would she say? A pervert for sherbert.
Pervert, yes.
Yeah, pervert for sherbert.
Pervert for sherbert.
That was my line of the night.
Look, rainbow sherbet is fucking delicious. I'm going to be honest, so I'm not mad about that. So real quick, without giving a grand explanation, what do you grade this episode? I want to know where people stand on this. I'll go first. I give this episode itself an A-. If it didn't have the ambiguity that we are going to get into later, I would have ranked it higher because I thought it was a solid episode throughout. They actually went to a real bar. They might have gotten rented it out, but they went to a real bar. So that's ups the grade right there. But love bar scenes. What about you, Corrina? What do you think?
If we're ignoring the issues of the episode, then I agree, an A-. But if I'm counting the issues, then I'm probably going to drop that to a B-. And I feel like that's being fair. You should get an F, production.
Oh, production gets an F.
A for the episode, F for production.
They're lucky the cast got fucking extra credit. The only reason they're getting a passing grade.
Bingo.
What do you got, Alexis?
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, it was so good. And this is going to be an episode that people talk about
forever.
It's on the list now. So I would give it an A, but bumping down to A- too. I don't want to give it a B though.
I know, I don't either. I'm just upset. I'm just mad.
Furious.
But yes, production F, 100%.
Yeah.
What about you, Joshy? What you got?
I'm all over the place because I also liked people less than I did before this episode. But I'm today with the all-inclusive, with everything involved, I have to give it a B.
Well, the whole time I'm like, oh my god, this is my favorite episode so far. A+. Go guys. And then dun dun dun.
And then
the end. And then I said, the fuck is going on? I don't know what to say now. So I feel just mimicking everyone else. We're dropping her down to at least a B, and F for you production. F you production.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
I think that's going to be an overlying theme. And I'm going to just say this from the jump. This is not, any arguments we have are not about the competitors here as far as Derrick or Horacio or Jenny
or any
and
of
Aneesa
the people involved
or any of those. No. We're strictly on production. Like, that's who we're bitching about today. And it's well deserved. We might nitpick at them a lot of the times, but tonight, well deserved the shit that we're going to give them. And I hope everybody else does too.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. After the recap of last week's episode, we get the opening scene, which is the photos around the house that they go into video. And I love this foreshadowing because they show CT doing trivia. And it's just such a cool idea to do it this way.
And, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't.
No.
It
go
is
ahead.
a very cool way. But what I also thought was interesting is they not only did they do a trivia, but they did a scene of CT getting fucking flung into the water in a very like hardcore way. Like that was one of the more hardcore like releases, like platform releases from for a trivia challenge in like any of the trivias.
Where they flung them forward, right?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And
You brought it
CT
up
did
when we did our recap or when we were talking about our favorite stuff.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
You know, and CT's fall was pretty hardcore. You know, but so I thought that was kind of interesting considering what happens later in the episode.
Yeah, definitely. With that being said, CT pro tip, don't do anything drastic with the game changes. And look, I'm glad this is a repetitive theme. I don't think we can say it enough. CT pro tip should be going even on seasons he's not on.
Yes.
Contact him to go into a green room, show him some clips, have him give you some pro tips.
Yep.
It plays well.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh.
Honestly, the intro, there wasn't a whole lot in this whole like intro portion. It was a lot of just like them kind of babbling back and forth about what already happened. But one of the things one of the conversations that did happen in this opening scene of this episode was Jenny and Aneesa. And I wanted to bring light to this because I think that this conversation is so important. Especially with somebody like Aneesa, because she takes a lot of fucking heat.
Yeah.
And it's undeserved, in my opinion. First of all, somebody else's body is none of your fucking business. Okay. But like Aneesa's came out, and not that she needs to, but she's came out many times and talked about, you know, different health situations that she struggles with. And, you know, and I hate this lame, lazy excuse of, oh, well, if she can't do it, then she shouldn't be there. What? It makes no sense. Like, I admire her more because she struggles with, you know, certain health issues, and she still gets up. She still, you know, trains. She still shows up to these shows and she competes. It's not like she's, you know, I hate to put it this way, but it's not like she pulls like a Veronica on, what was that, Final Reckoning, where she was paired
Vacation
with CT.
time.
And it's not like she's showing up doing that. Like, she shows up and she still competes. So, you know, I just loved this. And for her to get this kind of love from someone like Jenny, I couldn't imagine what that meant to her, you know?
That says so much too.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
It just says so much. I mean, I know Jenny, I mean, I don't know I'm going to say it out there for all the people who don't know, but Jenny is a health coach. Like, and she mentioned, like, I only look like this because this is my job.
Yeah.
It's literally her job to look like that. But it like you said, it has to mean so much to her to hear that from Jenny, but also what Jenny said about it, like sharing that health doesn't look just one way.
Right.
And that's important for everyone in the world to know that, whether you're male, female, he, she, they, them, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's so important.
Yeah.
100%. And this is something that I really liked and I want to see more of, is these different eras making connections. Like, I already know like CT and Bananas have a lot of different connections in the house, but someone like Aviv doesn't. And the fact that like Jenny and Aneesa have done a season together, but at no point did it show them really talking game or working together during that season. To see them have this conversation, it was really cool.
Right. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. And I like them as friends. You know, they're sweet.
Too.
I loved, you know, Jenny's like whole, you know, when they were hugging and she was like, you know, we can train. You can make our protein shakes. Like, you know, we're going to keep taking these steps forward. Like, you know, just everybody needs a friend like Jenny who can, you know, pick you up and encourage you on those tough days. And so it's just nice to have those kind of people around. So I'm happy Aneesa is getting support, you know, was getting support this season.
One thing I was really stoked about in this little intro that we got is that we finally got some closure on last week's episode with Josh and Tori. Look, like, I'm really big fans of both of them. So right when it happened, I may have messaged someone I know in the challenge and been like, so is this real? Or, and they're like, it was, but it's over already. And they're cool. And I was like, okay, good. But I'm glad to see that they worked it out and they talked once alcohol was out of the system. Tempers had kind of gone down a little bit.
Look, we've all been there.
Yeah.
You know, like how many times have you gotten into a fight, like with one of your friends, like a fight with one of your friends because y'all were fucking drunk and emotions were high? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like people don't address it the way they did very often, though. And that just shows a lot of how, one, their friendship is, but two, like, they're both not very old, but they're just so like in tune and with themselves. And I feel like Tori knew that Josh needed that and Josh knew that Tori needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, like she said, just say whatever you need to say to me and we'll get it off our chest and move on.
It's the accountability.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and what's interesting is that Tori opens the floor to Josh to, you know, say whatever you need to say to me. Let's work through this. Let's push through this. And Josh's reaction is to, you know, take accountability for the way that he behaved and apologize to Tori. It wasn't it wasn't an attack situation. It wasn't a defense, you know, it was, I love their friendship. That's all I'm really going to say about it. I love their friendship, and seeing them communicate that the way that they did shows why they're like able to be so close, you know? So,
and it's the accountability on both parts. Like, because,
Tori apologized too. But
and that's what I was trying to get to is the accountability of both to be as responsible and know that both of them were both a little bit out of pocket.
Yeah.
And to know that the relationship is bigger than one moment.
Right.
So kudos to them on that.
Yeah. Loved it.
So we get into the daily and it's called Cradled Cranium.
Why don't we have a TJ laughing button?
We should. Because
we got this TJ button though.
I'm over you, TJ.
I'm over you, TJ.
I was like, we have one.
I think I have more than that, but
don't we have a trivia answer on here somewhere?
8 times 9, Big Brother. No.
I figured we had something like
Venegazzi.
You know, I am surprised no one brought up bananas. What do they speak in Australia?
He did it on Twitter.
Did he?
Well, that was his caption on Instagram too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like.
I did see that.
Yeah,
but on the show, I'm like, I wish they did put that on there. I get it.
Corrina brought this up. The armbands are fucking stupid.
Yeah,
let's drop those. We know who those are. Just put a little graphic on the screen.
We know who the targets are. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Kara's leather cuff. Like, maybe it just feels powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe they like it.
They all looked like they all were struggling to get it on. It looked uncomfortable for every single fucking one of them. I'm just like, this is so stupid.
Half the time I thought the Era 4 one was just the letter N because the V and the 1 aren't separated. I was like, that is wonky. Jesus.
Yeah, it was really, really weird.
Dude, okay, the intro to the challenge, and I know me and you laughed our asses off on this, was Corey, and he's like, trivia,
Well, even before that, freaking TJ breaking the fourth wall while he was introducing the challenge.
Yes, deadpanning.
I loved it. I love when he deadpanned the camera. He actually he did a double take on us. I was like, oh my God, DJ. But yeah, Corey's fucking confessional.
He's like, trivia, woo. Honestly, I'm not good at trivia.
I've never done well.
I've never done well at trivia. It was just like his character development over the years is so good, and I'm such a big fan of Corey.
I love Corey.
This is why I miss these OG, because to me he is kind of like, he's OG. that's why we miss them, because of their freaking personalities, and they just are who they are, and it's just so lighthearted. Well, not all,
but he's having fun. You can tell.
But I feel like this episode was very giggly and lighthearted, and there was lots of funny one-liners. Like, I have so many quotes down here. Like,
oh yeah, and my thing is all the people that are on this show, excluding maybe one or two because they haven't done a lot of seasons, know how to make good TV.
Yeah,
and that's the big difference. We're not getting, no offense, Gabo, who wasn't really given much. You know what I mean?
Poor guy.
Who's that on the TV?
He didn't even know who TJ was.
Or
just
the male,
situation.
what was his name? Kim from Ride or Dies, the male Targaryen.
Yeah.
No clue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or honestly, Nom.
Yeah.
Poor Nom, man. He's just gotten screwed over and over again.
Yes.
Poor guy.
So I heard this about the Daily. Like, I think Devin said it on like a live or something, that the Daily, they were so high over the water that they actually had to lower them. And Devin said, like, you guys could lower us more. We're still really fucking high up here.
Yeah.
So they're 30 feet, I'm guessing.
well, that's what they said, or at least when TJ was saying it, he said it was 30 feet.
Right.
I don't know if they actually are.
Look, I'm curious. What do you guys think? I know that we've talked before about, I think it was All Stars 4, right? Where we talked about like these just super dramatic and like dangerous releases for the sake of some some entertainment on the TV show. Do you guys think that this one falls in that category of what the fuck are you doing? Are you literally trying to snap these people's necks? Or do you guys think this one was fine?
I think it was too much. Like, they should have just had them hanging from those harnesses. Like, there was no point to put their legs on them because it made them backflip into the water. And it's almost like,
did you guys see Jordan's landing?
Oh, that was rough. Hey, Jordan's usually pretty good about these.
Yeah.
Why not just, and maybe this is just me, and it's kind of campy, but like do something stupid like they get fucking flour exploded on their face and they dropped into the water like from 10 feet. That's still funny. You know what I mean? But I think we're also having a knee-jerk reaction because we know who got hurt from this fall.
But even then, we know he's fine. But I still just like, even before that, as soon as I saw the positioning that they were going to be in, I was like, this seems like you're kind of asking for injuries at this point. Like, I just, whose idea was it to sit like that?
They got the idea from Tina when she was sitting in the swing.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It just looks so stupid. And it's like, I always think, how did they load them up there? And then they're like, okay, just sit there and we're going to now just scoot over and you're going to be like, how did they even get them up there like that? There's nothing.
They bring the contraption over to land, and then they hook them up, and they get there, and then they lift them out over to the water. It's on a crane. Yeah.
Hell no. I would piss myself.
So you're up there while it's moving. That's how all of them are.
Did you guys catch Derek C saying, I want a chance to go Kyland the calculator?
Yes.
That's my line of the night, actually.
So many good nicknames this episode. Elimination,
there was a lot of little nicknames that came out this episode. There's one that comes out after the Daily that I thought was fucking
that one's pretty
great.
Good.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, so the way they're doing this trivia is it's basically Jeopardy setup. You get categories and multiple amounts. It's geography challengers?
I wrote them down for you.
Sorry. Geography challengers in the wild.
Check your notes.
It's geography, history, throwdowns, love stories and hookups, random, and challengers in the wild.
I was still reading them. But
I know, but
I just wasn't reading them in the order you had them. But
you didn't read them fast enough. Okay.
Anyways,
I'm just saying, if you're gonna ask me a question, I'm gonna answer.
It was rhetorical. I'm joking. So Corrina was telling me that, real quick side story. Corrina was telling me they had a conversation with Luke's teacher today, and she was like, he's so smart and he participates all the time and he listens so well. And I was like, is he smart or is he like me? Oh, man, I'm so proud of him. So just putting that out there.
Oh, I thought you said that to his teacher.
No, I will at the conference. So she knows who's the clown in the house.
Yeah.
But
anyway, so so we get going on the
trivia
the trivia, and pretty much one person from each team can answer. So you can't answer like as a team. You can't help each other. One person answers for the team, but if you get the question wrong, two people from your era get dropped immediately. So the team with the most points at the end of the whole thing wins, and they get going first. But the very first question goes to Era 3. Jordan takes it. And the question is, who was the first solo challenge champion winner? Jordan says Wes. Now, here's my thing. It's just kind of a confusing question because technically, so Wes and Jody were the first individual winners.
Mhm.
So like,
It's not wrong.
it's not wrong, but it's not right? So it's like, I see where Jordan got mixed up. I feel like they should have asked this question in a different way somehow.
Yeah.
I just, what was who was the first single winner of the challenge? Or, it's just, I don't know. I felt like it was worded in a way that it could have been taken either way as either Cara or Wes. So I don't know. I wasn't too upset with Jordan about this one. I was actually kind of like, So I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, was it clear to you guys what he was asking for?
So I'll go quick just because we were next to each other, but I yelled out Wes, Jody, and I was wrong because
I said Cara because I knew what TJ was asking, but
I was just assuming individual meant, first individual winners, what I mean?
But he said solo.
Yeah, well.
Which means alone, one. So in my head, I was like, oh, Cara. So, but I don't know.
It's semantics.
Since Wes is there, the answer wouldn't be Wes.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good point. Well, no, because, I don't know.
There are other questions, though, where
because
people
Sean wasn't
there.
there. Miz wasn't there. Yeah.
I got that one wrong, too.
Kendall was supposed to be there.
You know which one really shocked me, though? Josh not knowing about CT and Adam on Duel 2. And
I was a little angry.
This is like she's too young for you, bro.
And then I was also thinking, I was like, Darrell and Derrick have never gotten in a fight, have they? I don't think. Like, I was trying to think of, but I can't think of a single time that Darrell and Derrick have ever gotten into a fight.
Maybe wrestled or something, but
I don't know.
Maybe I think he was thinking Darrell and Brad is what I think he was thinking.
And that was
from
on
the
Ruins, right?
But-
Which was the season before that. So,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it, but
See, and the one for me
I was like, how do you not know about CT and Adam?
Do they show that on TV anymore?
no, you have to have
So-
it.
You have to,
You got to think Josh is younger than me, and that was a long time ago. So he could have completely missed that. And
I mean, yeah, that is fair.
But he's on the challenge, though.
Yeah,
and it's on their YouTube.
It is on their YouTube, and
That's a huge piece of history.
yeah, but some people don't watch anything, and he could have just sat there and watched
it's
all the
true.
seasons that are available on Paramount Plus and not deep dove into things.
there was one person who wasn't happy the moment got brought up. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, CT
Yeah.
was
CT's
not.
face.
He was just like, motherfucker, shut up.
Why would they? Honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah, drop it.
Like, just stop putting this poor man through that, man. He just,
Especially, why he was like that when it happened in his life.
what it was about, what was going on.
a better trivia question would have been like, and this person poured a beer on this guy's head. From
I think that's,
or whatever.
I don't know. I just wish the challenge would stop bringing up that specific moment all the time. And I know I'm being biased, so stop your DMs to me right now.
Biodomer.
I already know that I'm biased to CT. Okay.
there's just some things you don't talk about. That should be one of them.
Yeah.
If it's erased from viewing, we just shouldn't put it on the show at all.
Yeah, and it's just such a and the thing is I mean, this comes in a little bit later, but I'll just say it now since I'm thinking about it, is you can see little things in the show and in CT's life where he's kind of started to, I feel like, separate from that old CT, right? Like, even when he's getting loaded up into the ambulance and stuff after he has his fall, he everybody's shouting out at him and they're calling him Chris, and the show's never gonna put his little name tag as Chris on the show. It'll always be CT. but you can see like even the people in the house are addressing him as Chris instead of addressing him as CT. You know, and like even more people on social media and stuff like that are, you know, and so I feel like he's like, not that he's trying to like, I don't know how to say this the right way,
He's
but
evolving. He's just growing as a human.
I feel like he's trying to separate his new life from that old him kind of a thing, you know, and it's like, and they just keep pulling like his worst moments and pull him in as like highlights for the fucking show. And it's just like, just let the man breathe. All right. We all remember it. Leave it alone.
Yeah. And I mean, I think at this point, like, especially going back, like, why show negative things to like the one of the superstars of your franchise?
Yeah.
Like that
Who's
would be
also
like
about to get hurt. Come on, guys.
Yeah. And like that would be like every time they show a Michael Jordan highlight, they're like, do you remember he was a gambler that addicted to fucking blowing all his money?
Yeah.
And he was an asshole to people that he played with. That's who Michael Jordan really was.
He was Michael Jordan from Space Jam.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful person.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we know Michael Jordan. It's the same.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, stop fucking defacing the man of your franchise so much to the point where like they didn't even hesitate to be like, CT, stretcher, get him, ambulance now. Let's not get long distance shots of him in pain. Just take him.
Yeah. Let's not get long distance.
Let's not get long distance shots, short shots. Let's not get extended film of him. No, get his ass and go.
Get his ass out the fucking water and take him.
They did miss a lot of shots this episode.
Get him a bachiotomy right away.
That is our whole show right there. Please get him and take care of him now.
A whole bachiotomy.
So I wish they didn't like put this in the trailer though.
Yeah. I know. We all knew it was going to happen. You know, but when I saw it, when we watched it, I didn't quite understand. And then when we rewatched it, Rick pointed out that, you know, maybe it was something where he just like, he had tensed up so much from falling because he doesn't fall on his back. He falls like on his feet, like his feet area. So it's like maybe he was tensed up so much from, you know,
it could have just been how he hit, like if he hit his tailbone funny or.
I mean, he's a dense person. I cannot imagine like what the force times velocity hitting the water would be to the pressure on his feet.
Yeah, and I think he got so tensed up. Oh, hey, Kyland! What's going on, buddy? Hey, special guest, surprise, everyone!
Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Real quick, what I was saying with CT, I think he got super tensed up when he was falling. And when he hit that water, he kind of went in. It was feet first, but it was at an angle. And I think maybe it just pinched a nerve, a muscle the wrong way. I mean, when you hit that 40 mark, it kind of changes a bit.
Hey, calm down there.
Just saying, it's true. I'm almost there.
Anyways,
all right. So just real quick, the part that killed me though was when TJ was talking about, I'm like Pat Sajak and Vanna White. It ain't easy. I was like, he's like a single dad. He's cooking and cleaning. Give this man a break.
Get him an assistant already.
So,
oh man,
I'm really glad you hopped on right now, Kylan, because I was actually just about to bring this up. When you missed that question on the GNC, and when I messaged you on this. And I said, don't trip, dude. Corrina didn't even get it.
I had no idea.
When you said Corrina didn't get it, that brought me so much like validation. I was like, oh, okay. Like if Corrina didn't get it, then I'm not the worst ever.
I told him too, when you picked geography, I was like, ooh, these are going to be kind of iffy for me. It's going to depend on what the question is. And then he said something about a body of water. And I was like,
I'm out.
No idea.
I've never even heard of that body of water.
Where is it?
I felt dumb because I like blanked out on bodies of water. And granted, I did not have that answer in my head at all, but it was kind of frustrating because and that's why I didn't love, Emily's commentary when she's just like, oh yeah, he wants a big shot. Like, yeah, I definitely came in very confident in like knowledge of the show, but basically I was like, I don't know hookups. I've never, when I go back to old seasons, like I pretty much zoom to challenges and elimination. And I'm just like, I want to see what they are. I want to see how they compete. Like I don't really pay attention to a lot of the early drama dynamics of the show. So like takedowns and hookups, I was like, crap, I'm not going to know that. So pretty much we're like, okay, most of these people were there for a lot of these questions that they're about to hear. I don't know if I can compete with that, but I do know every single city, every single country, all the winners, elimination records for all 40 players. Like I was like, I can figure out something. So that's why I jumped to geography. And then I was like, and geography is the only one that had 400. So the other categories just had 100 or 200 options.
I didn't even notice that.
So geography had a 400. Yeah, I don't know if they ever show the board. I don't remember the episode if they do.
They did, but it's very quick. I had to pause it, and I noticed that. I was like, wait, these don't even all, it's not even like they all go up to 400.
It's only geography that's 400, and then they show, and then that first, so I was like, you know what? I need to make sure we don't get last. People are dropping like flies on all the teams. If we get like 400, we'll probably be in a good enough position to not get last. So let me just go for this geography and do that. And then of course, the very first geography question, I feel like they set it. It almost feels like they set the first 400 just to scare people away from 400.
Yeah.
They're like, no, this is like too much of an impact. So when same thing, when they went body of water, I was like, whoa, okay. So the next one's like, which rainforest and which desert. And I'm like, I'm not going to touch those questions. And then the next ones ended up being like, first off, on my question, they're like, in Battle of the Bloodlines, what body of water did they swim across? And then the next one was like, in season number, whatever it was, in this country, what was the city? Like they were giving them context. Not that I needed them, but it's just like, they gave them so much more context. So I was like, okay, what next question was about a country. It was like, which country was Total Madness in? And then the other one was like, what city was Battle of the Sexes in, I think. It was the Jamaica one, the Montego Bay.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just was like, what? Like, that was devastating. I was like, how are they going to go from name this body of water to what? Like, they're like,
City.
This season was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
This year, what city was it in?
Well, it's because it was 400, okay? That's why. You can't get contact clues.
Those were 400. Those were also 400.
Oh, they were?
Wow.
I take it back. I'm sorry.
I just gave you the other two 400-point questions.
Wow.
Those were the other two. So, like, I was like, are you kidding me? And it was, so that was, devastating, obviously. And that, like, the 500th episode one, I just have no excuse. I was like, I knew it was recent.
You were so
I
close.
Guess, it sucks because it literally off by 8 episodes. So like, I was like, damn, like that was out of 500. But that one I just missed, and I was like, okay, no. And that's the thing is I was cramming in like so many like last minute study like episode watching beforehand. So I just was like, they were all kind of blurring together, and I just was annoyed with myself on that one. And of course, it just felt like I'm like, wow, I just lost this for us, especially when I'm like. When people have been pointing out the whole time, like, man, this guy knows everything about the challenge. Because like I'd be asking them questions or talking to them, or they would just come to me and ask me about like, hey, where was this or who is this or whatever? Because like, oh, just ask Kyland. Like, and like I was telling them which seasons they won or whatever. Like they were just like, I don't remember. Like,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Stupid question here. What brand of calculator are you?
TI is the only. TI is the only instrument I know.
Yeah, that's a perfect one because you play games on it too. I remember that from high school. You know what I mean? I did want to say this though, like. As soon as he said Aegean Sea, I was like, I know the Aegean Sea. I know it's off the coast of Greece. And I'm actually 95% positive on that. I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it's off the coast of Greece.
Where's stats and info when you need them?
But would have never guessed that in a challenge format question.
Oh, no.
Never. It's just not one of those that come up.
No.
And the only reason I boost Corrina up on this is obviously she's like my fact checker on everything, but you did that trivia session with Drew Engelman with a couple other people in Corey Lay. And if I remember right, you kind of smoked everyone.
Oh, yeah. I
And
I even smoked I'm pretty sure that my score even beat out the other winners from the other rounds. We just haven't done
Are you talking
championship
shit about Challenge Historian right now?
Never. I love you, Jacob.
So kind of from this point on, like after, Era 4 drops out, Era 1 goes pretty quickly behind it. And then it really boils down to Era 2 and Era 3. and it's really just Jordan
Oh my
versus Era
gosh.
2 for a little while. You know
Jordan
what I
hung
mean?
in there pretty long, like against their team. I was actually really impressed with that. I was like, dang.
There's a very weird benefit to having lost a team member, to having the odd numbers. Is that like you would get down to one player. Because I was like, oh, that would kind of be not the worst case. But I mean, obviously it would have been for me. But beforehand, I know that was a thought we were having. I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And also lining up, we actually didn't know it was challenge trivia because they just said trivia.
Mhm.
And so we're like, okay, cool. So that's why Theo ended up, who got our only question, because Theo's crazy smart, by the way. Not like even related to that geography, just in general. I had no idea because I'd never met him. And yeah, he's just crazy smart at probably the second best chess player in the house. But yeah, it was, we were, that's why he went. Cause he's like, I know a lot of trivia, and we're like, cool. So we'll both be it. And then literally they said challenge trivia, and he was like, oh no, I know nothing about this shit. I was like looking at the categories, like, I don't know. We'll do our best.
I've never even watched this show.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to take us a little off the rails real quick. So
You're good.
Kyland, do you play chess fairly often?
You know what's funny is I played chess, and I grew up. I played a lot of chess in school because I obviously not the most social kid. Yeah. So the like middle school I was in like the chess club and stuff, and got really deep in that. And then even I remember elementary school, like Friday nights, me and my friend would go to the Starbucks and play chess with all these old guys. So like I used to play tons of chess. Then somewhere around like high school or college, I feel like I fell off and like lost a lot of it. But it's like you have that base, that foundation. Mm-hmm. So I probably went years before I first started playing it in Big Brother. And then I think since Big Brother, I don't know if I've played more than 5 chess games outside of a challenge or Big
reality TV setting. Yeah.
Outside of a reality TV setting. Exactly. It just is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you played any with your dad, because your dad was at Mania in Portland. And I used to play. I used to play a lot of chess with my dad. Well,
my dad made me play, and then decided I'm going to send you to a chess club, and I had to play like ranked matches when I was younger and stuff. And like when COVID hit, same thing. I stopped playing in like high school and all of that, and then when COVID hit, I was like, oh, I'm bored. I'm going to download chess.com, and then I just started playing all the time again, and it took over my life for a little bit. But now I'm on a sabbatical again.
He made me learn how to play so that he would have he could
live competition. Yeah, with someone that wasn't like.
I mean, you got to.
Yeah, because like after a while,
you should just had her pull up AI and just she does the move against you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and when you play online against random people, the worst thing is like they'll open up like with a pawn, and then they'll like all of a sudden like just queen all the way across the board. It's like, come on, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's not play this game. Anyways, let's get back to the game we're really here to talk about, which is the challenge. Yes. So after Jordan falls, in Era 2's left, the score's tied.
Yeah, it's tied up. But Laurel and Bananas, I think they're the ones up there. They miss the next 2 questions.
Yeah.
Knock their team out, ends in a tie. Jordan and Laurel have to go to this sudden death.
I have a question about this, Kyland, because we only get shown one question to Laurel and then the question to Jordan. Were there more questions in that they went through, or was it only those 2?
Let me think about that. They came out, they did send because it took them it's dark when they're going. Like it took a while to set that up. Yeah, because at first they're going to have them back on there, and then the lighting and stuff. And she does the pole wrestle, and then he does the Cheyenne, and that might be all. I have to. I definitely was not as. I was having other conversations.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, we were by then. We were just in talking mode. Like we were just talking about stuff.
We already know we're going in.
Yeah. So. One other question I had was, I heard someone say that they had the platform lifted up at first, and then they had to lower it because it was too high.
Wow.
Jeez, that's
It was like because I'm of the mindset by this challenge, at least I was like, they probably set it up to be safe or whatever. But like, it was very clear before CT was carted off, I think almost every single time that two people fell, one of them was saved by the paramedics would come out
wow.
and remove from the water. So like everyone was being wheeled out. And what's crazier is they set it up so that way you flip when you fall. And they're like, yeah, this should do it. And I'm like, okay, how do you account for the difference of sizes of weight of all these people thinking that everyone's going to fall the exact same way off of this mechanism? And so basically they were like, some people were just like, well, I'm just going to catch myself. And then you saw Corey hanging because he caught himself and then just pencil dropped in.
Yeah.
And they said, do not do that. Do not catch yourself. Do not catch yourself. Every person who did that, perfectly fine. No issue.
Yeah.
So it just was like, it became very evident. Like, we're like, this is too high. And even Jordan, like when Jordan's saying it's too high, we're like, all right, like it's too high. Like, let's lower it down a little bit. So I feel like they lowered it to 30 and started out higher is how it felt.
Wow.
Because I feel like, it was rough.
Jordan's fall scared me a little bit. I was like, I was waiting for him to get hurt. I mean, I don't know if he did, but
I had the wind knocked out of me. I was when I hit.
I'll never forget the black eyes when the guy that we don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I think that they go a little too far with
someone
like,
could pop an implant. You never know.
Putting y'all's like safety on the line.
All right.
And it just was weird because one of those things like just drop us normal or let us fall however, and then we could go even higher. You guys can go higher, honestly.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's like they think that, I don't know, like it's like they think that they have to like put you in danger or something for it to be entertaining. It's like, I'm fine just watching you guys pencil drop in. Like, that's okay with me.
Yeah, like
what makes me laugh is not how you guys fall or you guys getting hurt. It's the stupid answers to trivia. Yeah. Like because you're under pressure and I know that I would I wouldn't be able to do it either.
I wouldn't know anything.
But like
I wouldn't know my own name. You put me up there.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'd pass out.
Ooh, that's crazy.
Getting to the sudden death.
Yes.
One thing that really cracked me up is when they asked Jordan the question and you see in the background Corey like I was like
behind Jordan, like he can't even see him. But oh man, no, he should. This is a very odd situation.
It makes a lot of sense that he threw this. They even ask him in the confessional, and the way he answers, he's like, "Well, yeah, sometimes you just forget."
My mind.
Yeah, it's like, come on, bro.
Come on, Jordan. What?
Or Corey's like, we just talked about her last night.
Literally, I was like, no, there's no way. And he started to say it too. He was like Chantel, and I was like, Chantel, and then he ends on Sylvia. What?
It just felt like that Nick Young meme. Just
yeah,
the whole time. Yeah. After this, so like Laurel and Bananas are celebrating with Era 2, and then she starts walking back and just like out of nowhere, she's like, "Fuck you, Daryl." Or Darrell. Sorry, my middle name's Daryl. So
fuck you, Daryl.
Fuck you, Daryl. No, fuck you, Darrell. And it was like, what's the point of this? Like,
look.
First of all,
he made her a target.
Yeah.
Darrell's not good under pressure. We all know that after watching him for 25 years on our television. Like when it comes to social pressure, as far as like pressure in like an athletic situation is fine.
Look, no, I don't know, because part of me feels like everybody keeps like going on this like, oh, he was feeling pressure. I think he meant to pick Laurel.
Maybe he did.
Who else was he going to pick? Like, he's going to pick Emily? No.
Aviv.
He's going to pick Aviv. He already pissed Aviv off by telling her that he would rather go against her than, I forget.
Casey
than you and Casey. Yeah. So, he's not going to purposefully go out and like pick her like that. Or he's going to pick Kara, who he's got a good relationship with, or he's going to pick Laurel, who's kind of an asshole in the house. Like, I don't think it was an accident. And I think that what he replies to her and calling her a fake ass bully and shit, I think that says a lot about what he feels about Laurel in this time.
I just think Laurel's a habitual, like not even line stepper, but like completely across the line sometimes when someone goes at her like this. Because like, I think at a certain point, you don't need to make accusations about like, I mean, in a passive aggressive way, saying he's cheating by getting massages, which are strictly platonic from what we've seen with Emily, at least what we're seeing in the edit.
Right.
I don't know. It felt out of pocket to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I'll say is that like Laurel definitely has I think she has a asymmetrical like response, defensiveness to things. So like if something, if you throw a drink at her, then she might throw a brick at you or whatever. And that's like, because she is someone who believes in being effective. And so I'm not here to definitely defend or apologize any of that specific comment. I think that, was definitely unnecessary, and it was taken out of context, obviously, because, of Emily's like expertise and everything in that, platonic medical of anything almost. And it came up from, because when she asked him like, hey, like why'd you pick me instead of Emily? And he's like, oh, well, Emily gives me more massages. And like he was making a joke about it because she does. And that's where that came from. So it wasn't like out of thin air. But obviously given the context and given the way it came off, inappropriate. But I guess it's also like, I do at least have a lot of empathy for Laurel. Because like Laurel is my friend. And like, we had conversations around things that are like, that I'm like, hey, like, I don't agree with this or whatever, because I think that's what real friends should do.
Oh, yeah.
That being 100%. Said, I also see, I see like her saying something, not that comment, but sometimes her saying something maybe abrasive or mean to someone, and then people saying like, oh, she's an evil devil bitch. And I'm like, whoa, like she said that they're dumb and they're saying that. I feel like we're kind of, she's getting some disproportionate hate on things too. And it's coming from so many places. And then you have somebody backed into a corner consistently like defending themselves, and then they become more and more intense in their responses to things. So like I think that I'm very skeptical for all situations when I'm like, hey, like most people aren't, in my opinion, most people aren't out there to be malicious or to be evil. So anytime that someone tells me a story, especially friends or whatever, I'm going to call, if a friend tells me a story and they're the hero and the other person's a villain 100%, and then I'm like, the story's probably wrong. I try and catch myself on that too. I'm like, if I tell a story and I'm like, shoot, like anyone looks at this says I'm 100% the right, I'm almost certain that part of that story is missing. Right. And whether I'm doing that intentionally or not is a different conversation. But I think that is, I feel like I always try and look for, I try and extend the grace I hope I have in my worst moment.
Absolutely. And look, I think a lot of things that we see from the edit are out of context or shown to create more. Not to say that this didn't happen or that I feel any different about the comment being out of pocket. But yeah, I agree. I don't think Laurel's a bad person. I do completely agree that I think she's, one of those people that, like, to quote Casino, like, or one of those mob movies, if you go at her with a bat, she's coming at you with a gun. You know what I mean? Like, she's going to constantly try to one up you and she's going to go for the kill. We've seen it multiple times. Multiple times. But it does. She is getting a very different edit this season than she did on All Stars 4. We're getting a very different edit from her.
That is true. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I did like the way the way Emily stood up for herself, though, because Emily always in previous seasons came off kind of meek and didn't want to stand up for herself, and for her to just pop out like that right away.
Hey, don't bring my name into this. Yep. She's like,
And not for nothing, but Darrell was injured, so he needed those massages. We see him hobbling around later.
Poor guy, dude.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I said. It was that's why it was out of pocket for sure. Yeah. It was just more in general, the context as far as like, I don't think we had any actual, villains in this house.
No.
Well, and I think even like when we were watching it, Rick had the first time we were watching it through on Wednesday, Rick had gotten distracted because right when that scene was airing for us, Jordan was going live, like literally was going live at that moment on Instagram. So Rick was opening that up and he missed the initial, like Laurel saying, fuck you, Darrell. And I had told him, I was like, to me, it didn't feel like she was trying to be malicious. It felt like she was just in the moment, the energy, haha, you picked me, trying to get me out, fuck you. And, and so I was like, but it amplified up super, super quick. And they just kept one upping each other on it. And I was like, oh my God. But at the same time, I love me some feisty Darrell. So I was all in at this moment. I was like, ooh, Darrell. Like I was here for it.
It's enjoyable to see, especially from Era 1, because you just don't really get a ton of drama from a lot of the people in Era 1.
True.
So to get that delivery is nice to see.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Especially nowadays. Mm-hmm. From there, we kind of go straight into the house side and deliberation. We get the phone calls home, Derrick talking to his wife, who at the time is pregnant with their son. And then we get Rachel talking to her wife, saying that she's probably one of the strongest women in Era 1, which I don't disagree with at this point in the game.
Facts.
Also, I love it, but anytime we get bar scenes with you guys, and I know this one was just really cut and chopped, and we only got a little bit of it, but it was still nice to see it. It's very reminiscent of the old seasons.
Going out of the house.
Yeah, not to an igloo in the backyard, but to an actual bar, even if it's shut down, an outside bar. It's nice to see. And it
was nice.
It looked like you guys were actually having a good time. I mean,
it was a nice location.
Yeah.
It looked really nice.
We get that cool scene of Cara getting lifted up in the air. I have no context on why she was getting lifted up in the air, but it was cool. It was a cool shot.
Makes sense. I feel like Cara has definitely crowd surfed a time or two in her life. So
yeah,
for
very
sure.
True. Very true.
I was here for it.
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed the conversation between Jordan and Nia, where Jordan was like coaching Nia on like how to suck up to Banana.
She was like,
kiss the ring.
Kiss the ring, yeah.
Oh my God.
That was, I mean, but what Jordan said is true. I mean, like, it seems like since probably Battle of the Exes, they've kind of had a mutual respect, because even Jordan was like telling Sarah, no, we can't do this. We can't vote kind of thing.
No, yeah.
And it seems like if they're going to take shots, it's definitely going to be later in the season and not episode 3 or 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which,
and that's fair.
It goes against our rule of the challenge, which is take the shot when you have it, because you'll got a better chance of elimination than the final.
Liked how Bananas played that off. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to change Laurel's mind.
Yeah, Bananas played it off really well, to be honest. Like, as far as talking with Derrick and Aneesa, like, he left himself the perfect out, and he told them, I will fight for you guys, but I'm not going to pull a Tony. And it's like, yeah, like, we're not there.
Yeah. I mean, I think if Tony doesn't do that last week, we might see a little bit more fight from Bananas. But once he kind of saw what that played out, and then realizing he would either have to go against Horacio, or he would have to go against Horacio, and Laurel would have to go against Jenny. It's like, no, he isn't going to take that risk.
No, he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to do that. Nobody wants to go against Horacio. Nobody wants to go against Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain people it's not worth risking.
Well, speaking of people you don't want to go against, we forgot CT comes back to the house, guys.
He does. He's uninjured.
He just made me giggle because, he said the only thing he lost was his dignity. So.
Yeah, I don't know that I quite believe him. But
he said he shit his pants when he hit the water.
But rule 719 of the challenge: don't ever let them know you're injured.
No,
don't ever let them know you're hurting.
Pro tip: just let it flow.
Don't want to go too deep into it, but we get a scene of Brad and Emily at the bar having a little wine date off in the corner.
Very cute.
My favorite part of this was Avery, who was like, I can't hook up with people, so I'm a total fan of this. I'm a pervert for the sherbert.
I'm a pervert for sherbert.
Yeah, and I was just like, not the right application.
I feel like working at Hooters all that time, she definitely heard somebody say that at Hooters. Like, that's what they refer to people as or something. Like, her boss probably said that.
Oh my gosh. I never even considered that. That's interesting.
With that being said, sherbet is pretty delicious. I'm just putting that out there.
It is.
It's a solid dessert. Anyways, after we get the we get the bar scene where we get Derrick and Aneesa kind of trying to pitch to Bananas, and Bananas just kind of. I'm not going to stalemate it. I'll talk to Laurel. You got to get on her good side.
Look, and Derrick and Aneesa make a great fucking point. Like, if you're looking at this objectively, absolutely, you want Jordan and Horacio in an elimination against each other. Get one of them out of there. Because those are two people you don't want to see in the final. And if they both go to the final, you're getting third place. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part. So, I mean, I totally get it. And Derrick's, you know, he's right. It's just not the right people to be trying to throw in Jordan.
Well,
against Horacio. Like, it's just... Laurel's never, ever, ever going to do that. Ever.
Yeah, she likes Horacio and she likes Jordan too much. And she would feel like she's got a chance of losing two allies in that situation. And the fact that, look, I don't think Horacio says it in the episode that I don't want to go against Jordan because I want to run a final against Jordan. You know, very much how we've talked about you, Kyland. Horacio, we believe, has the Goku mentality. I wore this shirt for a reason tonight.
I wore black because I'm in mourning.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in more depth. Yeah. But I do like the fact that, like, later after the bar scene when we're back at the house and Derrick's talking with fucking CT and Darrell walks up and he's like, no, I can't sit down. And CT's like, I can't do anything but lay on this side.
This cheek.
Yeah.
Where's the cane?
The infirmary is what they called the room.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
man.
my God. That's
That
so
was
great.
all included in my potential lines of the night. Just the whole, all of them, they're back and forth. I was dying.
Amazing.
Don't get me wrong, Kyland. I love you on the challenge. I love Horacio. You guys know I'm huge fans of you, but like some of the shit Era 1 says I relate to, like I need to be home by 9 o'clock. I was like, yes.
We're in bed by 9 p.m.
Yes, I am all about that life. But
no, it was funny. Era 1, you know, and Derrick and his whole graph and list, and it was very
impressive.
It was very Laurel. It was very Laurel in her notebook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
well, before I was going to save this for the deliberations, but like knowing that Derrick shows this to Laurel, he was speaking her love language with that notebook full of information.
She was all leaned in.
She full buy-in on that one.
He almost had her.
If it was anyone other than Jordan, I think he would have
got
convinced her.
Yeah.
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 What did Aneesa say? It was like a PowerPoint presentation.
With the little clicker and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, did anybody else find it like really kind of awkward that Era 2 wanted to have this like meeting on who they should nominate?
What was that? What is that?
It was a farce.
So, I will say I get it was a weird concept having the targets have power, but making a team decision is a big theme. That dynamic is a theme of the show because of this season. Because it's like, if you're that person that had that risk, do you then do what's best for your team because you're still playing with them and you want to keep everybody happy? Or do you just make your own decision regardless of how you feel, how your team feels?
Right.
And then risk alienating them, and you don't know what that, potentially could do for you or against you later. So it's like, I think for them, they were kind of taking that route, which I feel like most teams took at the beginning, which was like, hey, let's do what is best for our team. And most people aren't like me or Horacio, very understandably. I don't think it's wrong. I think it's just different. We see that scene when they're just like, you do not want, like, every male got afraid when they saw Jordan walking this house. And it's just like I think that is the typical mindset for a lot of people. And so very understandably. And so it's just like, so I think it was just, I feel like that's what they're coming from, but it's definitely a weird position to be in when you're just like, well, it's me that had to take the risk. And so, but then they're like, you guys didn't volunteer for that risk. So I get it.
Well, and that's kind of my thing is I'm like, look, if it's, like, for example, like Era 3 seems to be working very, at least up to this point, they seem to be working very cohesively as far as, having open discussion, working really well together. And, their whole agreement of, taking turns or whatever. So I would understand if it was something like that was said ahead of time, right? If we're like, okay, we're going to run this whole thing as a team. We're going to take turns volunteering, but we're going to select, the we're going to do this as a team.
Yeah.
But to just like come up like fucking 20 minutes before they're supposed to go down into the Game of Thrones chamber, it is like crazy to me. I'm like, where was this like an agreement that they already had previously in the game that they would do all the nominations like this if they're target leaders, captains? I don't know. The name has changed like 7 times already. If they win, so I don't know. It felt weird because I agree. Like if you're the one putting up the risk, like if you lost, it's not the whole team going to go in to fight. It's just you. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, it's just because it's an individual game inside of a team game is what's going on.
Right.
We get the daily challenge, which is team based, but the elimination is all individual based.
But even the challenge wasn't even, it was weird. I thought it was so
Mr.
weird.
Miyagi over here.
Yeah, sorry, Kyland just pulled out a karate kid. He was just missing the chopsticks.
Sorry.
I got it though. The door's open.
That's why you're on the challenge, bro.
I totally lost my train of thought though.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, squirrel.
No, you're good.
I feel like the group was trying to just make sure that they didn't feel like Bananas and Laurel were running the whole thing.
Well, they are, but
I know, but like that they wanted to feel like they had a say.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that I think could really change Banana's mind would maybe be Emily as far as trying to put up a fight. But, Laurel, when she has her mind made up, and look, if you're a longtime fan of the challenge, you know that Laurel and Jordan have a history.
Yes.
And it's a decent and good history. I mean, I know they dated for a while, but they've been friends. And
Well, and it wasn't like they like broke up in a bad, it was just,
not them.
yeah, he left.
But
He left.
but with that being said, it's, and Laurel says in the episode, like, when I was on my last season, I said, take these people out for me. He did that. Like, he always fulfills his promises
On Ride or Dies,
that
right.
he's given me. So I can't go against him. And the way I equate it is maybe not to the same degree, but if that was, like you and Horacio were on different eras and, you were one of the winning pairs, you'd be like, no, I don't give a fuck. I'm not putting him in.
Right.
And and I think the benefit too, that's a very fortunate situation for both Laurel and Jordan, is that they have that relationship with someone who is a very strong competitor.
Exactly.
So kind of that whole notion of like, if Era 1 is coming to me and saying, hey, we're all injured, we're all struggling, don't pick us. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do for me later?
Right.
Since you guys are basically telling me you're never going to have any power.
Yeah.
You're never going to win. You're never going to have any power. You're never going to be able to help me. Like, we're in early weeks of the game. So like I think there is a reasonably strong case to be made for like a long-term game, especially depending on your own risk assessment of like, the game. And that was a lot of my conversation that I was having with people about like Tony. Like, I was like, hey, like Tony's looking at like this is a chance to gain some allies. And we also didn't know what was going to happen with the stalemate. There was that possibility that it was going to be like other people on your team. So he's just kind of like,
right.
And then people have different risk tolerance for eliminations too. I think that's a factor that people forget.
No, 100%. And I think that's actually a really good point, which is, they didn't know up until that moment. We all had an assumption of what would happen if they stalemate, but you don't know for a fact.
Yeah, you don't ever know for sure.
It could have been like, it's someone else, all your team is up for grab or, randomly draw. And Tony's like, yeah, that's fine. These people just sent me into elimination.
Yeah, like it could literally have been, hey, you guys can't decide, then great. The losers get to pick anyone from your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could literally be anything, It
would have been great if they're like, TJ was like, all right, pull out the hopper.
Honestly,
that would have been awesome.
That would have been rad. I like the hopper.
Get to the hopper.
So we go into nominations. I don't want to steal your joke. Go ahead.
My God. Okay, so I don't know how I'm only noticing this on the 4th episode, but what is up with the fucking super skinny chairs? Like, they're like half chairs. I'm like, we doubled the cast and cut the chairs in half. I don't understand what.
Are you talking about the back of them or the part you're sitting on?
Yeah. the backs of them. They're like this thin.
It's like a 2x4.
I'm like, they're like this wide. Did you guys notice? They're like super tall and like really skinny.
Now I'm gonna look.
They are just very big, though.
Are they?
So I feel like the back wasn't the issue as much as the part you're sitting on is like 6 inches long for some reason. I always felt like I was like gonna fall off.
Oh no! They got you like those anti-homeless chairs or something that you can't sit.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Oh no!
It's horrible.
That's terrible.
Like,
And it's 1,000 degrees in that chamber. So.
is it?
I heard the living conditions weren't great, and that was like a set for a movie or movies or TV shows that they made in
Or
Vietnam.
like weddings also. I know there's venues for weddings and stuff. I mean, honestly, for me, the housing was fine. And unfortunately, it's one of the better conditions I've been in. I feel like in housing.
Oh no!
And for me, I think I'm just so close to Big Brother that like I'm just spoiled when you can go outside whenever you want. I'm like, you guys, we get sunlight anytime we want.
This is great.
2 days a week.
Sunlight
Like,
on tap.
This is crazy. Yeah. Sunlight on.
Did you like the porta potty / shower?
They were nicer than plenty of public restrooms I've been into in America. Like I think that like it is weird, having that concept of like, but I mean, at the same time, I'm literally at my friend's place right now. I'm like, their bathroom is about the same size. They just happen to have a curtain in between the shower and the toilet.
Mhm.
But like, if you remove that curtain and then I guess the bathtub lining, because it's one level, but like I said, they were cleaned. Like you saw cleaners in there every couple of hours.
Wow.
And there was 2 bath showers inside the house as well.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't mentioned at Mania.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't. We have people, but also, like I said, I think there's an element of like where you come from and how recent, or what you're accustomed to.
Yeah.
I was Big Brother on lockdown. Then I was in the warehouse Squid Game bunk bed.
Oh my
USA
God.
One.
Squid Games.
And then Croatia was fun.
On one level.
Yeah.
It was great, right?
Yeah. I was like, this is fine. Yeah, exactly. We're not in bunk beds. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, what? And working AC. The AC worked
Ooh,
great.
nice.
Oh yeah, see that's
good.
already better than what was it, Rivals 2, where the AC didn't work
Croatia
in Thailand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In
Everybody was
Thailand.
like
Oh, yeah, I heard
sleeping
about
in the
that.
living room, and that's when
Oh.
they did like the water balloons.
That's what we would do in Croatia.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh.
a few times. We would just sleep upstairs in the living room because the AC's downstairs
Oh.
weren't working. So that's why I was like, this is possibly the best living conditions I've been in so far.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody else is complaining. Kylan's like, this place was great. Now,
This is great.
what's wrong with y'all? That's awesome.
So we get into nominations. DK starts it off with, the notes. It's Laurel's love language, like I said, like
Mhm.
exactly what she's done her whole challenge career is with the notepad. Aneesa makes a joke about being a PowerPoint. And then,
Mhm.
I love what Jordan's comeback
Jordan,
on that.
man, he just fires right back and he's like, he pretty much tells him like, that was cute, but you have to win to have power. And you can't be making promises and doing all this stuff if you're not able to win. And like, I mean, it sucks to say it that way because I love Era One. I've been watching since day one of this show. But at the end of the day, they are the weakest era on this season. And it just doesn't make sense to save them and piss off Era 3 and 4 when you could make an alliance, at least for now, especially because we're still so early in this game. And I just, and obviously you don't have to say anything or don't say anything, but I just have this feeling that the format is going to change again. Like this isn't, it's not going to be this for the next, 15 episodes. Like so it's just a little too soon to be making really big enemies, in my opinion.
I agree. I think history tends to repeat itself on a show like The Challenge, and literally every season they have multiple format changes that we've seen since
Midway, and
the only one that didn't was really Ride or Dies, as far as I can remember, and then even 39 had a couple.
Didn't Ride or Dies change
No,
though?
they stopped.
The Rider
and
guys
then-
switched up because they did the 2 big teams.
Yeah.
They switched to 2 big teams.
Because they did
Oh,
the
yeah.
2 teams and then
that's
they went
right,
back.
yeah. And then what Spies, Lies, and Allies, it had like 3 different formats in it.
Double agents
Yeah.
changed partners all
Yeah.
the time, every elimination.
Yeah, just ask Corey.
Yeah. Oh my God, poor Corey.
Poor Corey.
He had like 6 partners that season.
So I was going to save this till the end because it really comes, we will save it to the end because it comes into play after elimination. So let's just get into the elimination.
Yeah.
It's the juicy parts, what we're all here to talk about.
Yep.
Even though we've spent like an hour already talking about everything else. But
Let me lean in here.
we find out that Era 2 is going to send Derrick and Aneesa in, which we all kind of saw coming. And then Tina refers to Aneesa as Eliminisa.
It was just one of the cute little names from this episode. So I loved it. That was very cute.
Let's get through the girls real quick.
Yeah.
First and foremost, big shout out to Aneesa because
Wow.
I did not think it was going to be as close as it was. And I don't think that was editing, that they were really within probably.
That was an actual close match.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 to 3 pegs within each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, probably not the right words to use for that, but I'll keep it pushing.
Jacks.
Jacks, they were within 2 to 3 jacks of each other. Real quick, before we go any further, I want to play something that I've heard people argue about as we get into the men's situation. First of all, Jenny almost has an asthma attack. She gets over it. She ends up beating Aneesa. There we go.
And she does have asthma. She said so.
Does she actually? I was going to say, does she actually have asthma? Okay.
Exercise-induced asthma.
Emily said she was
okay.
vaping too much, but I don't know if that was just shit talking.
And Jenny says that also. No, Jenny
did she?
was vaping. Yeah, she actually would talk often about how often she vaped. Like she was vaping every second. And I was glad because it did I was glad to find that out because I was like, wait, like literally I was still confused. It's like, are these just show muscles? Is Jenny not really it? Like, and then, but time will tell. And, yeah.
Well, and that was my question too, because I was like, I mean, we've seen Jenny, compete. We've seen her do really well. We saw her absolutely murder the final in Total Madness, and she beat bananas. She beat everybody. She was the first across the line. So I was like, wait, what's happened here?
It was confusing to all of us. But I think it literally was a vaping.
Yeah, wow. She told us when we interviewed her, she was like, "Oh no, endurance is like one of my biggest strengths." And then I'm watching this, I'm like,
"What?"
The lie detector determined that.
But we also talked to her like 2.5 years ago. That is
factual. Okay, so let's get into this Horacio Derrick matchup. First and foremost, I want to play something that we just added to the soundboard because I've seen a lot of arguments about, the peg just needed to be on the wall.
On the wall.
Then you're going to race over and place your jacks into the board.
Into the board.
Process for 40 jacks. First one to get 40 will win tonight's elimination and stay in the game.
If you guys want, I'll play it again. But he says into the board, not on the board. Into the board.
Into the board.
So let me share something with you that I've been trying to share with the community. There's something called ADR, which is don't know what it stands for, but it is basically the term that they use in TV when they're like, "Hey, we gotta do ADR." Oh, have you ever seen the videos of like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when he's in the studio and he's watching a scene of Wolverine and he's like just growling like yeah. That's ADR. That is them getting audio that they can place on whatever video that they want to do. Mm-hmm. So often, a lot of times they'll do the pickups for different parts of TJ's. TJ will read through the thing while we're there, and then even after the eliminations, or during challenges or whatever, he'll just be like, "All right, cool." Like after Era, after we do that one, the one with all the boats, not the invitational, the one with the team one that we did, the eating one. After we finish, we're sitting there, and he's just like, "Hey." He's like, "All right, Era 2, you're done. All right, Era 3, you're done." And he'll just like do multiple takes of him just saying stuff. So that like is just a huge element that we can't go off of the things that are shown on TV. Just like if you play the soundbite of him going over the rules in pole wrestle or going over the rules in hall brawl, he's going to say, "You can do whatever you need to do to get to that bell on the other side." But then production comes out and they're like, "Hey, not whatever. Here's 47 things that you cannot do, actually. And we're probably missing some. If we see them pop up while it's going, we'll let you guys know." Like, it is, that's why when you're watching sometimes, like, wait, why are they taking one at a time? because maybe one at a time was the rule for whatever that challenge or.
Right, exactly.
And my biggest thing again that I want to preface everything that we're going to go into, everything I'm going to say is not against Derrick or for Derrick or against Horacio or for Horacio. This is strictly on production because I'm very much aware that they do voiceovers and they do multiple takes. But as the viewer, we only get to see what they show us.
Yeah.
And when they leave a lot of ambiguity in the way that they judge the winner, but the rules are explained to us very clearly.
Right.
That's where the confusion comes in. And that's where I think my biggest issue on this is production isn't doing what I think they should be doing in this situation. And
they're only human. They're trying their best. I mean, I am, and like I've been very vocal. Like it's not like I'm not an apologist. I'm not afraid to say anything that I actually feel. It just is. But I like to be fair to everybody. So I'm like, you know what? And I have lots of comments on that. But sorry, I want to let you guys get into the intro before I dive into it.
No, you're good.
So long story short, with this elimination, you throw a ball up onto a ramp. It rolls down. As it's rolling down, you have to run around, collect 40 jacks. From what we're told, put them into the board. The first one to complete all 40 jacks and call check wins.
I was going to say, if you're Gen X or millennial, you grew up playing this game.
Yes.
Well, different. Yeah.
Little different, but yes.
Smaller.
So as the viewer, we're seeing Horacio and Derrick go back and forth, and it's portrayed to be very close throughout this whole thing. It's also shown that at a certain point, Horacio misses a ball and has to go play some off. And we hear them say, Derrick, it's your game to lose at this point.
And then Derrick does the same thing.
And then Derrick does the same thing. And when he goes to catch the ball and it hits his hand, it hits the board and knocks out multiple different jacks.
Right.
At that point, we get shown a scene of Horacio and Derrick, and it says 37 or I believe
it says 30. It says, it's 37 to 39.
39 on the scoreboard. Mm-hmm. And they show the last one, and Horacio catches it and very casually turns around and struts to the board and puts it in, turns over and calls check. And at this point, they pan to Derrick, and Derrick's dropping the ball. And you see very clearly in the corner, top right corner, there is a missing jack.
One of the jacks had fallen out and was laying on the row below it.
Yes, which is on the board, but not into the board.
On the board, not.
So,
yeah.
Then we are told that, and this is just from the edit, obviously, that we get told that Derrick has won. So it's creating a lot of controversy, a lot of questions. A
lot of fans don't understand how Derrick won when we saw Horacio's board full, Derrick's board not full.
We only hear Horacio call check.
We don't hear Derrick call check.
Obviously, Kyland, you were there. You had firsthand perspective. And why we are so happy you've decided to join this and kind of help us break this down. Tell us what you saw, what you heard, and what your feelings are on this.
Well, first off, did you guys, Horacio did a live today. Did any of you guys catch any of it?
I caught.
I don't know if anybody, I'm sure people got clips of it or something.
I watched.
I will watch it. I did not get a chance. I was at work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No worries. But I was like, if you guys wanted the soundbite, the soundbite I gave was like, all right, let me tell you guys about how Horacio was wrong in his recalling of the elimination. Because
no, please tell us that. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that's perfect. So going off of that segment, so let me think of where to start. So when they go in, Horacio actually says in his live, but so before they start the elimination, Horacio was like, hey, I'm just going to be like looking at you. Just tell me tell me where I'm at. Tell me where he's at. Tell me what I'm at. I don't need rah-rah cheering or whatever. Just let me know what the score is, basically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time, I'm probably the only person that is actively counting the pegs of both of them just to let him know where he's at.
Right.
So like, I feel pretty good in that, in the recall just because of that. But like, I mean, I'm not going to take away, an obvious bias that is here, but I'm going to try my best to explain in a way that at least gives information that feels like it could be factual and accurate to anyone that's listening, and and is not for or against Derrick or for or against Horacio or for or against production. Even it's just kind of a collection of events that occurred. So, Derrick makes that first shot. Sorry, first off, to be clear, the girls' round was probably 20 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
The guys' round lasts less than 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Probably closer to like 2.5, but somewhere in that range.
But they were grabbing like 3 or 4 at a time, right?
Yeah, 3 or 4, sometimes more.
Wow.
Horacio got a couple with more. One they did drop and one they didn't drop with 5. So essentially, Derrick makes the first shot, the first basket. Horacio takes, I want to say 3 attempts or so. It takes, he's about 10 seconds behind, and but then catches up in maybe like 4 runs or something like that. And so then he's pretty close behind him, and then he starts pulling ahead, and then because I'm letting him know this, I'm like, hey, like you're ahead, but barely. You need to pick it up. Like you need to pick it up. This is what I'm communicating the whole time. Then he has his ball get stuck, and the ball getting stuck is like so significant in the game. That's why it's like, I mean, I get like why it can't really play and play out in the show, but it just was like his ball gets stuck to the point, just a standstill. Horacio's picking up mid, and I was like, hey, and TJ's like, hey, TJ puts up the horn, tries to blow it, it malfunctions, it doesn't go. But Horacio sees it. He comes over. He literally stops. I was like, hey, just come over. Like, we're going to reset or whatever. Horacio walks over. We talk for like probably a handful of seconds, like 5 seconds or so like that. I'm like, hey, yeah, you're doing good. But like, obviously we got to figure this out or whatever. Derrick finishes the round that he had. He starts, what's it called? He starts another round. He picks him up. I thought Derrick had actually stopped. It was corrected by others because I was talking to Horacio when this was happening. He finishes his first round because I had the count, and then he picks up his second round of stuff. And I guess production did attempt from some there. One people said, oh no, they made him, that second group put them down. So he got to do one round, but then the second round they actually made him put down the pegs. And I've heard mixed on like if they spread out his pegs or if they just put him in one spot or whatever. But regardless, put down the pegs and then went back to his reset position with the ball to shoot the ball. Horacio's gets loose. They just send him after. They're like, "We'll go, continue." So he runs over and catches. Key information in this is this is a game of seconds, and so we have not just the stop that's like 10 to 15 seconds. And the ball is probably stuck 20, 25 seconds, but like 10 to 15 seconds before they stop Derrick. So he finishes that first round, gets the reset. So now Derrick has that first round of pegs that pulls him ahead. He gets to start when they restart, essentially. Not when they restart, but when they just continue, both of them. He's at the ball line. Horacio is starting basically from the stage, running out to catch his ball, has to put in his pegs, then comes back for his another turn. So right there, he's losing like a turn and a half to 2 turns, depending on that. Also, he stopped midway collect. So he's literally standing above. So at the end, he has that one peg. That was because there was one peg that he was next to that he would have just picked up and brought his normal set. But he stopped because the game malfunctioned. So he had to do an extra lap there. So already we're looking at like 3 extra laps that were going on potentially from this. Like I said, he had that drop. Derrick had that drop. Those essentially cancel out because they both had a drop. So you can really take the drop away from both of them and just focus on those extra rounds. That being said, what it sounds like is most likely the case, because I feel like this is where I'm looking for like, okay, what's the most reasonable outcome as far as the rule discrepancy on, did they have to, when they were told the back room, the official rules, did they have to pick up their own pegs if they fell? You see that, and we know from collective, people on both sides, regardless who they're cheering for, Era 4 was picking up their own pegs when they were falling and placing them in. Era 1 wasn't. I believe what happened, and this is like, I feel like I think that people, if they stop and, like take emotions out of it, they might come to this might make sense. You guys can let me know. This is the first time I'm voicing this out loud. But I think what happened was that when Aneesa was going, hers kept falling, whether that's her error or whether that's board error. It honestly does sound like it could have just been faultiness with their board because it was happening often from what it sounds like. So I think that when she tried to pick them up and it's just like, these are falling, and they just said, don't worry about it, we'll get them. And so that's the message that she then communicated to Derrick. So then when Derrick witnessed it because he's over there on that side, whether she communicated it to him or she witnessed it, because she did communicate that to Horacio. So I don't know if she communicated it to Derrick directly or if Derrick just witnessed that. And also, I think that there is something about the experience of the vets. They're like, no, like they'll say all these rules, but like you just got to do anything that they'll let you do, basically.
Yeah.
And so if I'm Derrick and I'm picking up my turns and I either saw Aneesa drop and they picked them up for her, or on my own, I'm just like, I put it in, and if it falls, like, I'm not going to worry. I'll worry about that later. I'll worry about that after I'm done, and then I'll just put them all in. I'm just going to get my turns done or whatever. And then he is going and he sees them picking his up. He's like, clearly, I don't need to worry about that.
Yep.
So why would I worry about that if I see them picking it up? On our side, since they were picking them up because, you know, a little bit newer people, a little bit more sticklers for rules, they were just like, there was never the opportunity for the refs to come in and pick them up because they saw that we were actively on it. There was one time when Horacio would like put in a piece and he like, one of his fell out after he left. And then before he went out for his next turn, he picked up the piece and made him put him in. So it feels like to me that is probably where the discrepancy in the rules came from, is that they did tell them this and that, you know, Jenny and Horacio didn't elect to do extra work. And then also going back to Aneesa, if we're talking about like, you know, something that they have confirmed that side is Aneesa did try for a while to pick up her pegs and put them in the board before they told her that. So it's like all this information leads me to believe that it is likely that they were told that. But then I think due to, it sounds like probably a faulty board that Era 1 had, they were like, screw it, don't worry about it. But they just over there because that board was faulty. So, and they're not, you know, and that's a really hard thing to manage mid-match. I get it or whatever. So that's what I think happened as far as like the discrepancy of the rule. And so that also like lends itself to, I do believe that because of those extra. Oh, so that was the other thing is in the edit when they show Derrick, like when they show the photo finish, Derrick's like running with 3 pegs or whatever. And Horacio, like Derrick had no pegs in his very last shot. Like Horacio walks because Derrick's still shooting, but Derrick's shooting and he's already collected all of his pegs. So like, to be clear, like that is where like, I think where Derrick and where that iteration of the rules that they end up following at the end to decide the winner was Derrick having collected all the pegs, all 40 of them. So that last shot, he's like looking for his peg, doesn't see it. So he's like, well, I'm just going to shoot because they told me I have to finish my board or whatever. And Horacio's about to finish his board. So he shoots, he's looking, he doesn't see it. So he never calls check. Horacio calls check. And then that's when, so then that's essentially where they get the ending of the board not being finished or whatever, and this board being finished. And that was like, just to give an example of how like off, not just the edit was, but also a lot of people's retelling. Because they're like, oh no, that was like close or whatever. It's like, no, he literally didn't even have anything in his hands that one because the things were that. Now, to be clear, that was one round. These rounds, we counted out loud. The ball took about 8 seconds. Other than that one time when it got stuck, it was about 8 seconds that it took, at least when we count loud, because people were counting down to help the players. We're like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. And so that was, so the fall was like 8 seconds. The placement is like 4 seconds. So we're talking like a 12-second round, maybe, you know, a couple more seconds for shooting, because they were pretty much making them in one shot as they got through the game. So we're this extra shot that he would have done by that point. And it's not even the full turn though. It's literally, he finishes. He's like, where do I go? Let's call that 4 seconds. Then he's like, I guess I better just shoot the ball and try and find it. Let's call that shot, you know, another couple of seconds. So we're talking about like overall, you know, maybe a 10, 12 second lead or whatever it is. I mean, if we go conservative, we call it 20 or whatever. I personally wager, and I think this is kind of where a lot of us sit, is that the extra round that he got and then the extra rounds that Horacio lost, when you add those all up, they add up to a number that's significant enough that Horacio should have had a faster time overall. If we were just count the actual task at hand and take away the time that he lost from that. And then also the extra lap, like I said, he had to do not just an extra lap from when his thing fell, but then also to pick up that one peg that he would have picked up on that turn if the thing didn't melt. So it's like, when you add up all that, I do think that that's where I'm like, okay, like that's why you should have it. But this was definitely a situation where like it would have been unsatisfactory, because let's say that Derrick and Aneesa followed the rules specifically and they were picking up their pegs and their board was faulty. They would have been unhappy. They're like, wait, we're trying to follow the rules and our board's faulty or whatever. So I think no matter what, there was like enough errors that were occurring that like we weren't gonna, necessarily leave as at the happiest either way. I think that because of the rules stated and because of like the overall speed that was happening there, that's why, I'm gonna lean towards my bias side of Horacio. But with what happened, like that's, I think, how they ended up with that answer. That's what they were talking about when Horacio said that he asked TJ, he's like, hey, what's the deal? Like, I don't think that I lost. This doesn't make sense. And that's when TJ was like, oh, well, they also had Derrick do the extra round. That was the extra round I talked about. So like, that's kind of all of the thing I was talking about Horacio was just like him. I made a note about, but just, oh yeah. So like, that's why I was saying, like, in terms of Horacio being mistaken, is just like not necessarily knowing how much of where the differences came into play on certain things. But it almost doesn't matter because enough of the things are there that it just is like, that's why the celebration happened that he talked about when Jenny ran out and celebrated, where he puts in his peg, he's celebrating, and it just is pretty, there's not a confusion in the crowd until they leave. And there was a little bit of confusion around like, hey, wait, Derrick's extra peg thing, when it fell on the board, or he didn't have another peg at first, they were trying to find it. But like the consensus wasn't really until time started passing. And the more time that was passing, we're like, okay, like this is weird.
Yeah.
Like what is happening here? And so that's what I think that they did, is they just came to the conclusion of like, you know what, we're just going to look, we're just going to take out the error. We're going to just time how long it took, how long everybody's, supposedly what they did is they're like, we're just going to clock everybody's specific, as individuals, how long did it take them to do their lap or whatever. And so I think that that's what they ultimately did. And that's how they would have come up with Derrick having a faster overall time. But then once again, that runs into the issue, like I said, of a lot of time caused by that error of the device. So that's like as detailed as I can get. And I like I said, I hope that the rule discrepancy thing and like the miscommunication of it at least is coming off in a way that makes sense and that sounds plausible, that can cause all this confusion. But you guys tell me if that makes sense and if I answered a decent amount of questions.
Yeah, no, I mean, you were pretty concise and clear on it, and it answers a lot of my questions about what led to this happening.
Happened
that we weren't shown. And it kind of just to be honest, it reinforces the feeling that I had, which is, and I hate to say it this way because I know like somewhat kind of your employer, but production fucking screwed up. They screwed the pooch. Like at any point they could have had a PA or someone else test out this board to see if the jacks were sitting.
I don't know, maybe.
And then if once you figure that out, you just tilt it back a little bit, and that kind of solves that issue. The second thing is why at no point did they just say, stop, we're going to reset?
We need to reset this.
I've wondered that a lot. I wondered that then, I wonder now. And it just, I feel like it might just be a matter of like, sometimes it just feels like the time that they spent deliberating, they're like, you know what, we can't pay overtime for this many employees or whatever, or we can't reset it. Like sometimes it feels like that. I mean, Big Brother, literally, that's why they made the wall hump harder, is because they're like, we don't want to keep our employees here for 16 hours.
Yeah.
So let's just make it harder so that everyone finishes in 2 or 3. Everyone falls off. So it's like, I feel like there is an element of that. And then also, did they put in all those pegs at one point and then just try it one time and then never touch the board? Or like they check 2 of them, like, do these fit? Yes, they fit. All right, cool.
Right.
Not realizing that like, all the elements or sand or whatever that can play a role that can impact the game and make it so much harder. That's like, I don't think it's for lack of trying. I think that it's just, they make really cool, complicated games, and sometimes the variables in that time. Now, why don't we do the reset? I don't know. I wonder if they're just like, well, that feels like a disadvantage because, everyone would be more tired or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what their rationale could be, trying to give them benefit of the doubt because I'm nice. But either way, it was unfortunate. It was mismanaged.
It was mismanaged. And, and obviously this has been pointed out a lot, but to me, it just feels like, and again, like we said, our issues with this situation is all with production and the lack of, planning. And, and I hate to say it this way, but like, you don't see these types of moments on like Survivor or Big Brother. Like they they plan for these types of things and they're ran very differently. And it's, for me, the big thing is you can't like promote and call yourself the fifth sport when you have so much ambiguity in the rules and questions. And like you said, you know, they say these rules and they say you can do whatever you want in Hall Brawl, but then they take you in the back and they say, wait, no, there's, you know, 47 more things. Plus, I don't know, there might be other things we're not thinking of, but it's those things that they're not thinking of where we end up getting finals like USA 1, where it's just everybody gets fucked. You know, we have eliminations like, you know, the big conspiracy one from Final Reckoning where, you know, Devin and Corey came in and they went against Devon and what was his name?
Jose.
And then Zach and Amanda, where they, you know, there's a lot of people who think that not necessarily that elimination was like rigged, but that it was not equally set up on both of those lines.
They didn't want the big one I know of is from Final Reckoning. They didn't want Pauly and Natalie to win. That's why they let Natalie run for 45 minutes in the wrong direction in the middle of Africa.
Yeah, there's that, you know, and then the Laurel Ninja elimination from War of the Worlds 2 that should have been reset, and same kind of situation, holes with pegs and all this stuff. Like, it's just, you know, this happens so often, and it's like, you think that they'd start to be like, okay, we need to be able to, you know, like those 6 or 7 things that you're not thinking of is what causes these issues. And all the fans have to go off of is what's in the edit. So my question and like my issue is, if, you know, all of those things happened, they have that footage. So why do you want to leave the fans with so much questions about your integrity on your show rather than just put it in the edit? Like, we don't need the suspense of Horacio putting his last peg in and wondering what Derrick's doing. Just show us. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they gotta make the TV show, and I don't know. I feel like I definitely, I feel like they get way more right than they get wrong.
Yes.
I will say.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
feel like that is consistent, and it is, and you know, and is the nature of like trying to do things. You know, they have this game in Survivor, but they tried to do it a little bit differently here. I feel like, and I think that creativity, you know, does result in these errors, and they try things a couple of times, but like they aren't, when they're doing these things, and that's, I think, a factor that I do feel like could be a differentiator, and when things fail, is they're not fighting for their life when they're doing it.
Right.
And so things not as many things go wrong. They're just like, does this work? Like, not does this work when you are frantically trying to do this or putting your body weight into it or whatever. And I feel like maybe that could be a factor that is, you know, different to control. And like, in my understanding, I don't know this, but what I've heard is that like in Survivor, they bring testers who are competing, and that they even have like a little bit of stakes for them. Not like, you know, any big prizes, but like whether it's bragging rights or whether it is, you know, extra pay or whatever, the people who are testing their games out are fighting to win. And I have a feeling that probably does impact it. And that is, you know, and that's also when they set the weight differences and everything else. So, and then Big Brother is so much easier because it's all in a stage that's so controlled. So like, I think it's just easier for them. And we do a lot of resets in Big Brother. And I feel like that should get so much. They have a 24/7 crew going. And I feel like they just are like, well, you know, if they're resetting something, it's usually something that they have like 40 camera angles on everything. So they're just like, okay, we only need to reset it to this minute because that's when this thing went wrong or whatever.
Right.
And I feel like the controllable variables, but it does suck when you know that this is happening and you don't get to see it, but it's like, yeah, because I'm just like even the rules, you know, they read those rules on camera. So it's just like the back rules reading to the players. It's like, like, let's see this, and that could calm things. But I mean, I'm sure they have, you know, reasons, and they just don't want to get caught in a trap of always having to do that whenever someone complains. So like, I don't know what it is, but it is frustrating.
And
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like this one is just like hitting the fandom really hard, and it hurts, especially because it's Horacio. And, you know, he's already said that he's not coming back, that this was, you know, going to be his last time. And, you know, and he's a fan favorite, and we you bring him back, Kyland, bring him back.
I respect his wishes. Yeah, no, but I respect his wishes either way. I'm obviously gonna try, but it is. But yeah, I did go into the closet and cry after he left, but that's hopefully they don't show that.
Well, this is kind of.
Because I was like, all my friends are gone.
I'm all alone.
So
I would too.
This is my last objections to this, and maybe it's because being in the professional world so long that I've learned that mistakes happen often.
No, yeah.
But the difference between a mistake being a big deal and something we can get by easily is the level of accountability that goes with it. And I think production could have very easily, put something in there saying, hey, Derrick, this is why you won.
Why didn't we see TJ explaining to Horacio why he lost? That would have ended the whole discussion.
That would have helped for sure.
That scene right there would have ended it all. And none of the fans would be pissed.
It wouldn't have ended for us because we would
we'd be arguing this.
For sure, yeah.
But it wouldn't be the level of integrity questioning.
Yeah, and just
it wouldn't hurt as much.
Exactly.
Well, and let me check. Also, another crazy thing is that not crazy, but just crazy impressive, and another testament to that guy. Horacio was so incredibly gracious with he was just hey, I don't want to complain, but this feels like it was against the rules sort of deal because of this. And he just yeah, I'm sorry. He's okay, I understand. I don't I understand, and I appreciate you guys for trying to explain that. It didn't make sense, but it was but he just took it so on chain, with a smile, obviously emotional with the loss and everything, and nobody ever wants to lose in such in a questionable way. Nobody wants to, and so it is, especially a competitor. So it was just yeah, I just want it was I can't imagine who can be that gracious in such a terrible situation,
especially on this show.
Well, and it wasn't his first time getting bad news like this at the end of something. I feel like it's just my heart breaks for him just watching it, and because he's so that way and he's not fighting back, it just hurts more for him.
No, I was in the sand talking for a while after because I was trying to figure it out, and then so I'm just talking, and then I end up talking to him, and then this is the only time I kind of talked back a little bit, I guess, to TJ a little bit, because he's hey, you guys need to go, you need to respect production's time, and I was just honestly, I respect them as much as they respect us with this turnout. This is it just was I was there's nothing against TJ, it just felt like such a slap in the face given everything we saw, and I just was yeah, we Jenny did Horacio, and she mentioned, Jenny was really trying to fight back there, and it was and then also that was the other thing is on the bus. I was here's one thing I will say. I don't appreciate the revisionist history of Emily and Rachel as far as trying to explain it, but I don't even know that term applies to them though, because they were doing that there. So let me give them props for their consistency and for their ride or die, because while it was happening, they were I don't know, obviously, Derrick probably or whatever, and it just was and they were the only two that were saying it there. And I said, it's nothing. So I was honestly, it's impressive, the consistency. It's the if you saw the clip with the Fox News guy when at the rally was just he's obviously nobody's there, nobody cares, nobody's happy as they're playing clips behind him of everybody cheering and celebrating. Yeah. It was just that. It was just the boldness to stick in that was impressive. But everyone else, virtually everyone else, all of the OGs who you think of as the OG, all the icons, any of the Mount Rushmores were in the bus. They're you know what? This is just sometimes what happens in the challenge is, it is a show and mistakes get made or whatever. And everyone was just acknowledging that there was a miscall here, mishandling, and they were and it was just so like I said, it was just so spread. There are some people who actually that was what I was gonna say. That was the other spot where I was saying Horacio was wrong, is that he said some people don't speak for fear of repercussions. I also think some people just don't speak up because they have enough humility to realize you know what, I don't remember. I really wasn't paying attention. Yeah. I don't remember. And I think a lot of people just don't remember. And I've seen some people that have commented that have said hey, you know what, I think this, but actually I'm hearing, that maybe I was wrong or whatever. But for the most part, it is, I think people just, I think there's, just as many people who are afraid to speak up because they are, afraid of production, which I feel like, if you're just speaking honestly and not, maliciously, it shouldn't be a problem. But I guess I'll find out when they never call me again after this. So who knows? But
Nerys is writing the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Nerys pushing it.
Yes. But that's just her language. That's
her love language, right?
That's her love language. Yeah, exactly. So it is. But yeah, I think that was it was just so, like I said, almost everybody on the bus was talking about it. Like, wow, this is crazy. This is messed up. So it was very much known. But
wow.
Yeah, so it just hurt. Oh, that's what they said though. That's what I was talking to Horacio about later on, is they were just like, like these things happen sometimes. Sometimes there's a bad call. Like they don't get wrong, they get right more than they get wrong, but like sometimes this happens. And you know what? It happens against you and you're pissed, but then when it happens for you, you kind of don't say anything. Yeah. You just kind of appreciate it. Uh-huh. And then I was just like, well, maybe I'll agree with you guys if something finally swings my way or Horacio's way. If someday there's something that actually swings our way in luck, then we'll appreciate it. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys for letting me get out the time and get out all of the all of my notes on the game, and just like I said, we want to set the record straight. And once again, like none of it's against Derrick. We all love Derrick, and he didn't do anything wrong, and he's still one of the GOATs. It's just like, this is just the way it played. And also, it wasn't his job to stop when Horacio's ball got stuck. Like he's focused on his game, so like I get it. So it's just kind of everything played out as it was, and that and he did what he could. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for letting me get this all out,
dude,
and
you're always welcome.
And letting me crash your guys' show. And thanks for
you're always welcome here.
Thank you.
Like the only last thing I'm going to say about this. No, I was thinking about making a joke, but I'm not going to. My biggest issue is that we never see Derrick call check. And to me, if you don't call check on something like this, that's like answering the question in Jeopardy, but not putting it in the form of a question. You got to put it in the form of a question. That's part of the rules.
Them's the rules. Yeah. So we care about some rules and not others. I get it. Depending, like I said, I get it, but it depends on whose game and everything. But yeah, that is unfortunate.
Yeah. At the end of the day, all our bitching and moaning is not going to bring him back for the next episode, so it doesn't matter. Well, in fact, we're not even getting a next episode. We're getting the VMAs, which is really weird because MTV doesn't even play music videos anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's just going to be ridiculousness winning all the awards.
I do have to hop out. I'm so sorry, guys.
No, you're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Can I ask you one question before you go?
Of course.
What was that with Josh bailing? Do you forgive him knowing that it was because of CT now?
Honestly.
Because he was scared of CT?
Or do we have to wait on this?
I felt so much, I don't even know the word, if it's relief or what, because obviously Josh went in with that thing. I'm pissed because of the roster just left in that whole situation. And I'm just like, so Jenny's looking at us. I was like, you can pick either one of us. It's whatever. Because Josh was not. I was like, you can pick either one of us because both of us haven't gone in. And then Josh was like, and so I just was like, whatever. So then, I was just glad to see him acknowledge it, because in the house, he gave me two different explanations. He gave other people different explanations, all these things. And I was like, none of what you're saying is consistent. Like, you're not saying anything that makes sense. So I'm just like, so watching it, I was like, that's a straight up clear answer. And I really wish he just kind of like said that, because then it would have just cleared up. But, it was, I love Josh as a person in general. It just is, that was just like, I was like, all right, my guy, like, you're kind of falling through on this reputation of not falling through. Like, you just had this season at USA 2 where like you fell back in a deal with Johnny, your old time friend. So like, is this, that's why I said, I was like, I'm not going to wait. But but that was how I felt. But
Okay.
Really quick, Kyland, it was an honor to meet you. And I'm so glad you love the podcast, and, come back anytime.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon, but in a while. We want to talk to you when your time on the season's over, whenever that may be.
Yes.
As a fan, I hope it's the end of the season. So, but
I'd love that. That'd be great.
We'll keep an eye out. Yeah. Thank God for the VMAs. We got 2 weeks. All right, Kyland. Thank you so much.
Later, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
I'm really glad he was able to hop on and explain that for us. And it really added a lot of clarity, in my opinion. I do have a different opinion now than I did walking into this episode.
I don't.
I feel better now.
And I think the way he explained it, like, it was the perfect person to hear it coming from for me, because he always goes into it pretty much unbiased. Like, he's a realist, and he says it for what it is.
Right.
And I believe him. And he wasn't like too intense about it, or like pissed off, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. And my thing is like, I know Kyland's going to be a little bit biased because Horacio's his buddy, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to be biased to the point where he's not going to be honest about his assessment of what happened.
Yeah.
And what he said kind of checks out from what we've heard from Devin, what we've heard from Jordan and other people, as far as how the rules aren't really explained to the gallery. It's only explained to the contestants, and who knows who heard. And
again, you know, and we said this earlier on our Instagram page, and I'll say it again here. Like, in my opinion, fans going around like, oh, I'm team Derrick, Derrick really won, or oh, I'm team Horacio really won. That's stupid. We're not team Derrick or team Horacio here. Over here, we are team, what the fuck are you doing, production?
We're team challenge. We want you guys to be better than this.
Yeah, you're better than this. Come on, man. Like, and
After
honestly,
all these years.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I'm like, come on, dude. Like, at this point, now you're just making us look like fools in the reality competition world, okay? Fucking Survivor and Big Brother fans are fucking coming in my inbox like tornadoes right now. Just don't do this to me, okay? I don't want to be ashamed of being a challenge fan, okay?
Exactly. I want to be able to yell loud and proud that Big Brother sucks.
Yeah, but it felt real.
Just not with Kyland on.
Yeah, not with Kyland on. I couldn't do it. I wasn't ballsy enough.
The morning after the episode aired, everything just felt really dirty. Like, it just felt very dirty
icky
to be a challenge fan Thursday morning.
That's why Corrina's wearing all black, because she's mourning her fandom in the challenge for a night.
Yeah.
We'll be back with it. Yeah. Real quick, before we close out the show, because we're at the very end, we get the part where after it's announced that Derrick and Jenny are the winners, they have to pick the targets. Obviously, Derrick has to pick the women. Jenny has to pick the guys.
Yeah.
Tina volunteers.
And
CT volunteers. As soon as CT volunteers, Josh immediately shits his pants and decides, I'm not volunteering.
He's revoking that volunteer he gave up earlier.
Emily volunteers. Nehemiah gets picked. Era 3, once again, we get kind of a play like who's going to volunteer, and neither of them do.
Here's the thing, too, though. And obviously, I don't know, because we weren't in that Era 3 meeting. And I didn't ask Kyland because he wasn't in that Era 3 meeting. But in the show, Corey never says, I'm going to volunteer. Nobody says it. Him and Devin both just say, yeah, we'll take turns.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they ever actually have a conversation where they say which one of them is going to take turns. I think it was just understand that turns were to be taken, but they didn't actually talk about who was next. You know what I mean? Whereas in Era 4, Josh specifically said to the cast in the room sitting there,
Yeah.
I will step. I will, you know,
No,
I
that's
will.
fair.
So like, I'm giving Corey a little bit of a pass on this one. But yeah, Devin gets picked.
But at the same time, if I'm Corey and I see that Kyland, well, he doesn't know Kyland at that point, but it's Kyland, Nehemiah, and fucking CT. I don't want to go in either. That sounds like a horrible idea.
No.
And then obviously we get to Era 4. Kyland bites the bullet, as he just told us, after Josh.
He gets picked. Olivia volunteers.
Yeah. Olivia, which shout out to Olivia for volunteering, because there's some strong women with Tori, with Emily and
Tina.
I mean, you got some strong competitors there. So next week's going to be, 2 weeks is going to be really interesting.
Yes, guys, don't forget there is no challenge episode next week on what is that? It's September 11th.
Yep.
There is no challenge episode. Okay, please don't message us and it's be like, where's the challenge? Why isn't the challenge on? What time does the challenge come on? What channel is it on?
It's not. It's not happening.
VMAs.
You know what is going to happen, though? We might go live for you just because we love you. No promises.
I don't think
no
we're going to do
promises.
that. But we will probably also, just a heads
You
up.
go live for me.
Also, just a heads up. What the fuck are we going live to talk about? There's nothing to talk about. There's no episode.
Yeah.
But,
Talk
however,
about the VMAs.
Nobody gives a shit. However, the following week, just a reminder, the following week, so the challenge will come back again on September 18th. However, that's the day Rick and I are leaving for Michigan. And then Katie and Alexis are meeting us in Michigan. And we are not going to be recording that weekend either because I am not going to spend my vacation doing that stuff. So we are going to be off for the next 2 weeks, guys. We will be around on Instagram. But the week that we're all in Michigan, I'm pretty sure we are going to go live at some point just so we can like talk about the episode because we won't be putting out a recap for the next.
I am going to be hammered the whole time.
Next week. No, we probably will just take the week to enjoy it. And we hope you all enjoy it.
I will not enjoy no episode of the challenge.
No, I just meant the quiet week.
It's going to throw off my whole week and I'm going to be pissed about it, to be honest.
The only thing that's making up for it is football is back. Dun, 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 dun.
Which I don't care about.
You can watch the VMAs.
I also don't care about the VMAs. Sam and I were joking.
Tori's happy the Eagles won.
I just don't get why the VMAs are on MTV anymore. It should be a YouTube thing. I'm just saying, like, it should be a YouTube event. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to get into
digress.
that. And also for any of our our top listeners out there, if y'all are in Michigan around the Detroit area, we are going to be in town Rick and I will be there on September 18th. I believe Katie comes in on the 19th and Alexis, you come in on the 20th, right? And then we're going to be there through the weekend. So if any of you are in that area, hit us up on our Instagram or wherever, one of the social platforms. Just
one of them
let
platforms.
us know. Because we would love to meet some of you guys if you guys are out there. So
I'm gonna be honest. If you are a fan, you're trying to meet up with us, you better message Corrina because I'm not going to fucking answer.
Nobody
messages you. Anyway.
People message me. People message me.
Just saying.
You don't even go here.
You don't even go here. No.
Oh, also, before we leave, I just feel like at some point you need to clip Laurel saying "stupid," because it's like
you're
it goes hand in hand with your stupid ideas.
Well,
all your
everything
ideas
you
are
say is stupid. Yeah.
I don't like this anymore.
Anyway, moving on.
Next time on.
Yeah, we next episode is going to be Laurel's episode, and it doesn't look too great. Kind of looks like she's throwing the daily to try to get Emily into elimination.
I don't like that.
And then she calls Kara a stupid bitch and tells her to shut the fuck up, and I don't like that either. So
it depends on context.
I need to know why Kara's hair is braided that way during this whole argument.
It very much reminded me of Rivals.
Yeah,
yes,
getting the soda
like
dumped,
flashback.
and
it's like deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. So.
It's going to be an interesting episode. And again, I know I just said next week, but it's not next week. It will be airing on September 18th, and we will not be recapping that episode. So make sure you watch for our live on Instagram. We will definitely do a live that week now that I realize that that's what's going to happen that week. And I'm so sorry we won't be doing a recap, but we will not be doing one.
With that being said, before we close out, let's finish up with our MVPs and line of the nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go MVP for me. You know what? Male is going to be Horacio because this might be the last time I'm ever able to give him one. So Horacio is my male MVP. Runner up to Derrick. Great job on that elimination. You know, it sucks that production screwed the pooch while you were in it. Mm-hmm. Women's MVP. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to go Jenny West. You know, a major shout out to Aneesa, though, because she fucking kept that shit competitive. Line of the night, pervert for Sherbert.
That's fair. I will back up your Horacio MVP with a very high honorable mention to Derrick. Again, the only reason I'm picking Horacio over Derrick is because I don't know if I'll ever be able to give him MVP again. As for the women, I am actually going to give my MVP to Aneesa. I know Jenny won, but for me, Aneesa's performance was more impressive. Mm-hmm. She didn't seem to struggle endurance-wise at all. And she kept up with Jenny, which, in my opinion, she shouldn't have been able to. So I really loved that. And then as for line of the night, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't really have one. I honestly don't. I just don't have one that really like sticks out to me other than maybe the Pat Sajak and Vanna White one, but it's not even really that funny.
It's pretty good.
It was all right. But I don't know. There wasn't too many in here, honestly. So I don't really have a line of the night. Sorry, guys.
Katie, who you got?
I am going to go with Horacio for my male MVP, and I'm also going with Aneesa. And there was something I did want to say earlier, and then we did what we do. But I just kind of wanted to highlight Aneesa and Tori's friendship just for a second.
Yes.
I know we talk about it all the time, but seeing two strong women like them support each other so much and not, I feel like the comparison to like Laurel Cara, I know they're very different friendships, but just seeing how like you can lift your friends up, it doesn't have to be a competition.
Yes.
Like it's, I mean, I know this is a competition, but but if you're actually friends with somebody, lift each other up, be there for them, support them, cheer for them, like. And watching Tori cheer her on the way she did just made my heart so happy.
Yeah.
And we all know I wanted Aneesa to win anyways, and here we are. But she just doesn't get enough credit for all the work that she puts in and how freaking good she is. And
agreed.
Even Rachel said how athletic she is. So
yeah, I agree.
That's that. And then my line of the night is just when CT, Derrick, and Darrell were just talking about all their aches and pains and where's the cane and we're already on life support and we're falling apart. So the whole
I'll back you up on that one. I liked the life support thing. I'll back you up on that.
Honorable mention for line of the night for CT saying he shit himself. So there's that. Josh, who you got for MVP and line of the night?
Dude, I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go with co-MVPs for everybody who made the eliminations.
Okay.
Especially with Jenny and Aneesa having that conversation in the very beginning of the episode. And then the line of the night, you know, for Sherbert. I'm a Sherbert fan, always have been, so I just loved it from the get-go. But you know, I also like Derrick just because the look on his face when he said, did I just accidentally take out our team's best player? Or the best player on our team? I mean, that's not like the best line, but I'm just like, the look on his face said it all for me. And the thing with Tori and Aneesa, their friendship is amazing and awesome. I only wanted to touch on that because when they were in Portland, Aneesa's like, I like this song. We're going to do this dance and we're going to walk out into our entrance into the crowd doing this dance that they just learned like 30 minutes before they came.
That's funny.
Those two together were really awesome, except Aneesa's like, I'm not going to be with her in the line because she talks too damn much.
Alexis, who you got?
For men, also Horacio, for reasons given and just because of the way he handles everything. Like, he could have just handled it completely opposite, but it's just so not his character, and that's also what he's going to be remembered for. For women, I'm going Aneesa. I was just so impressed, and I just wanted her to get her stat. Because at the beginning of the season, she was like, I got to get my stat. And then she went into elimination, but she didn't get the one up on Cara because they were both there. So I was just really hoping she was going to win. But
yeah,
it's all right. Everyone is still proud of her. And it seems like she's proud of herself. So she should be.
Absolutely.
And my line of the night is them calling her Elimination.
Yeah.
I hope that sticks, and I hope that she gets a badass nickname out of it because she's deserved it for so long, and it should have happened a long time ago.
We got some good ones. We got Elimination, we got Lingering Laurel, we got Kyland the Calculator. I can't think of any other ones, but I know there was like one or two other ones. But it was.
This was from All Stars, but when Derrick called Ryan Shiho.
Yes.
That was funny.
Oh, that was
this season.
Wait, was that?
It was when he did
the
take
season.
Take shelter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You know what? You guys changed my mind. Aneesa for MVP. A hell of an effort.
Yay!
Honorable mention to Jenny.
Yes.
And I love Jenny too.
Yeah.
It just
No, she went above and beyond. And so I really appreciate that. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us this week. Do you have anything else you need to shout out about or anything like that? Anybody needs a shout out or something?
No, I don't think so. Literally 92 of you fucking send in submissions about your feelings about this week. And so I gave up. I'm sorry. So we don't have any fan shout outs, but we'll get back to those when we come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? And look, our consistent listeners know who they are. They know how much they mean to us. And I want to give a very special shout out to someone I was unaware of who follows us, and apparently, and I was unaware of this at the time, that she shares us in all these groups. And it's funny because I'm in almost all the groups.
And I never ever see it. But
you know what? Huge shout out to Monique Marie. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for all the posting that you do in all the groups for us.
Anyways, for myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Corrina Hayes, we've got Josh motherfucking Chambers, Alexis, Tex, Rawson, Katie, Bad Blood Pahura. We want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. We want to thank you for your support. We know that's not like Patreon or any of that shit or Only Dads, but just listening to us.
Listening and posting us in all the Facebook groups all the time.
Giving us a 5-star rating. If it's less than that, send that shit to @Biodomer on Instagram. Otherwise, be good to each other. Be good to everybody else. We love y'all. Night.
Bye.
bye.
I forget what I was supposed to say.
Nuck if you buck.
Oh.